Hey guys, what's another video on the Inside Spurs Show? Happy Saturday morning to you all. Hope you're all right. Hope you are all okay and looking forward to a good weekend. Obviously, in this video, we're going to be talking about some signings. I say signing singular, but departures, and that's definitely plural. We'll be talking a little bit about Simeone Inzaghi and his current situation. Obviously, it feels like that's the kind of guy who is heavily linked to Tottenham potentially, but we're going to be talking about that because there's a couple of things on that. Rayan Cherki flavoured news, and looks like, to be honest, Man City will be getting the playmaker. We're talking about that. We're going to be talking about Ben Davies, James McAtee. There's probably more that I'm forgetting about right this second, but there's a lot to get into, hence why you can see why I'm forgetting as much as I am. But yeah, we'll jump in and we'll talk about it. Morning Muchu, Sonia, Adi, Sean, Steve, Baz on a 12-mile hike. Jesus, mate. God bless you. That's not easy. Anyway, let's jump in and talk because there's so much to sort of get through in this. So what I'll do is I'll start with the news that Kevin Danso's move to Tottenham has been signed. It's sorted. It's finalised. The loan deal obligation was triggered. It's about €25 million deal, which this is from Fabrizio Romano, so you get an idea. 25 million total package in euro fee. Let's call it £20 million. I think that's value in this market nowadays. You know, don't get me wrong, like 6-7 years ago, you'd go, God, 20 million, that's quite a lot. Now it feels like that's the sort of going rate. And no, I think Kev has shown some ability. I think he's come into Spurs at a really, really difficult time with all the injuries that we had at that time. He was only signed, in January/February time. So I wasn't expecting crazy amounts from him. Obviously, he's playing centre-back at times with people that don't play centre-back. So, but what I did see, I thought there was at least, a good chunk of, opportunities and flashes. I thought, especially things like Frankfurt away where he came on, we moved to a sort of back five. I thought, his ability to be as solid as he was, I think was massive for us getting through that game. Obviously, he played his part in the final as well, and I think there's a player there. I'm glad he's signed. I think, going into next season, he's going to get a whole pre-season. He's going to get a tour. He's going to get all that football lined up going into next season. I think you're going to see a much better Kevin Danso next season. So that's what's exciting. And like I said, £20 million, that's value for money in today's market. You can't knock it. You know what I mean? Talking about, though, the departures going out of Spurs, because there is a few, but these are the expected ones, as you would all think. Fraser Forster, Sergio Reguilon and Alfie Whiteman are to leave Spurs at the conclusion of their contracts. And Timo Werner's loan deal will be finishing and he will not be signed permanently. So, a bit of a sad day there, not being able to get Turbo Timo here permanently. It's a joke, but we love Turbo Timo. And I think the way you look at it, with Turbo, with Sergio and Alfie and Fraser, there's 4 squad spots that have been freed up there. You're losing 2 keepers, but you already had 3 as it is, so it's not a big deal. And that's the way I look at it. Even though you're losing 2 sort of first team squad players in terms of just the 2 goalkeepers, but I'm not talking about the others, just the 2 goalkeepers, that allows you more flexibility and more freedom elsewhere in the squad to get other players in. Sergio Reguilon leaving, just take his squad spot and go and get another left back. And there you go, left back sorted. And the way I look at it is left back would be sorted if you went and bought a new one, right? That new player and Destiny Doggy. Right backs Pedro Porro and Jed Spence, which I think is solid enough. I think keeper's solid enough as it is. I think you've got 3 really solid centre-backs in Mickey, Kuti and Kev. Radu's obviously going to be out till about the winter time, late autumn, early winter. Vuskovic is coming in. There is, and Ashley Phillips as well. I won't, I think we forget about Ashley too much, but he's played a lot of football in the Championship, and it's nothing to knock. So I think there's an opportunity there at centre-back just to add potentially in there and strengthen. But if not, I think there is some quality in there still. I think going into really the attack in the midfield, there are a lot more question marks because then you might move off of a Richarlison, you may move off of a Basuma. You then need to replace those guys. You know, you're losing Timo Werner, but what you could also say is go, well, look, there looks like they're going to be signing Tell. Mikey Moore can just get more minutes, you know, or a youngster can get more minutes. I expect some of the youngsters maybe to go out on loan in the attack, maybe like an Ajayi could go on to the championship potentially. I think there's opportunities within that squad. I think a lot of people can look at it and go, you can't get rid of, you know, that many players. But actually, when you sort of look at what you're losing 2 backup goalkeepers. And like I call it rotation, they're backups, okay? They were like the 4th and 5th option, you know, goalkeepers. You're losing a backup left back. He's not a rotational left back, a backup left back. So therefore, you're really not losing much in the squad in terms of, you know, effective, you know, regular minute sort of players. You might lose that in Richie and Basuma, but you can replace 2. It's not end of the world. And Tell will come in as well. So I think, you know, just the simple ones like Timo as well, like the simple ones. Yes, you may be losing on the face of things when you look at the squad, but actually you're not losing that much, if I'm honest. So yeah, you see what I mean. But yeah, good news on Big Kev. Morning, Paul and Mark. You're right. Does that mean what? Why would Ange Mason going to West Brom? Why does that mean Ange is getting sacked? With them releasing that about the players that are leaving, I reckon they're looking to keep Tell. Yeah, they are looking to keep Tell, but what they are looking to do is negotiate his release clause down. Not release clause, his buy option, sorry. So Spurs don't want to spend, 60 million or whatever it is. They want to spend a lot less. So there you go. A little bit of good news on that sort of thing. Moving a little bit on to Rayan Cherki. So there's a couple of bits of information on Rayan Cherki that came out in the last sort of 24 hours. And look, I like Rayan Cherki. I think he's a good player. His release clause being as cheap as it is obviously a very much exciting thing for teams. But Fabrizio Romano literally in the last hour put out that Manchester City are set to submit their opening bid to sign. Opening bid also for Rayan Cherki this week. The plans is to accelerate for Cherki and to try and get Reinder's deal sealed in the upcoming days. So there you go. If I'm honest, it looks like Cherki will be going to Manchester City. Again, you know, Santiona putting out that Cherki has said yes to Manchester City. No issues on personal terms. That's not surprising. Guardiola spoke with Cherki about the project. Talks are ongoing between the parties. But Man City are favourites. And obviously, I think they're in the Club World Cup. So they're trying to get these sort of deals done for the Club World Cup. I explained why teams are doing this. It's because there's so much money for having success in the Club World Cup this year. So much money. So it's not shocking that certain teams are moving very, very quickly. I think some people are... I get why you want early deals. I totally get it. But like this would be... If Spurs were signing someone here, this would be super, super early. So it's not vital you get them in early doors or anything like that. You do, though, have to have that concern of, yeah, but would you be losing out on targets potentially? I mean, the way I look at it, right? Let's take Eze for an example. We know about his release clause, right? We know what it looks like. I've always said if you get to them early, especially because Bayern Munich are interested in Mark Guay, if you get in early and try and get Eze done, you might actually end up getting an Eze deal structure-wise that is more suitable, right? But at the same time, you don't play a game for like a month, 6 weeks or whatever. So it's not vital in theory, but it's vital financially potentially because as soon as Crystal Palace sell Mark Guay, which it looks like they will be cashing in on him, their financial power is much stronger. You know, also they've got European football this year. So revenue-wise, Palace are going to increase in revenue. So they're going to have money to spend with or without selling, you know. So there is that. Yeah, Tell they'll be looking to sign Tell. They're looking to sign to. Will Levy eventually make a statement back Ange for this year? If so, what's your best thought as to when? Well, they talked about it being next week that we're going to know more. So, I mean, Levy doesn't have to exactly put it out that Ange is staying, right? In theory, he doesn't, because if he knows Ange is staying, he doesn't have to say a thing. It's just business as usual. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe they know it's business as usual and they're just getting on with it. But if he is going to be moving on from him, he's taken a long old time to decide. I mean, let's talk about Inzaghi in just a second, because a lot of people have been asking me about Inzaghi, and I wanted to talk about it. And there's a few schools of thought on Inzaghi. You know, we talked about Frank, we talked about Areola. I mean, there's still reports that Brentford are worried that Frank might leave for Tottenham. And it's like, I don't know, but Areola, Silva, all these people. But with Inzaghi, right, really quickly on Inzaghi, he plays tonight. Well, he coaches tonight. You've got the Super Cup semi-final, or some people call it the Champions League final, between PSG and Inter Milan. So there is obviously, you know, that affecting game tonight. Now, with Inzaghi, he supposedly has a deal on the table. I'd assume Inter have probably got a deal on the table. I saw reports they're looking to increase his salary to about 7 million euros a year, which for coaches nowadays, that's quite cheap still, especially for a European side that's in a Champions League final. That is quite cheap. I mean, we are paying like Conte 15 million a year, like double, triple nearly what Simeone is going to be earning at Inter. Why was Conte so sad? 15 million. I would do anything 15 million, you know. So, but the other key thing with Inzaghi is that offer from Saudi. Now, I think it's Al Hilal is who it is. I don't know if it's got it here, actually. Yeah, Sasha Tavieri saying that during talks with Al Hilal FC, Inzaghi asked a left wing back and a striker as primary targets. As told 3 days ago, Simeone Inzaghi has agreed terms with Al Hilal and should communicate officially his choice on the 1st of June. Al Hilal side confident. Now, I believe on his contract is about 25 million a year. Okay. Now, Spurs like to pay managers quite a bit, because the idea is you pay managers who are of a really high level, they will coach players who are deemed lesser players than some of the bigger boys, but he'll coach them up and get the absolute most out of them, that they become players alongside the sort of levels, right? Spurs won't do 25 million. They will not do 25 million. And it doesn't matter if Fabio Paratici wants to twerk about Simeone Inzaghi as much as he wants. He won't be getting him, because Spurs won't go to 25. Now, would Simeone Inzaghi consider 15? I mean, it's a treble. It'd be treble what he'd earn at Inter, maybe. But also, I think you're sending a really interesting message to the fan base and the squad to say, hey, you've won a European trophy, first one in 4 decades. You've won a trophy for the first time in nearly 2 decades. We are going to get rid of you, though. It sends a very confusing message to everyone about that. And I know, by the way, I know some people are Ange out. I get it. But it's still, for the most part, a very confusing message, especially to the players. That's the key thing here. As much as we sit here and go, Ange in, Ange out, Ange in, Ange out, at the end of the day, we don't put the Spurs shirt on. We don't play on the football pitch. The football pitch includes the players that play for Ange, and they all support Ange. So you're sending a very interesting thing. Now, obviously, we know if Ange goes, Romero is gone. Ticket, done. See you later. Thanks for everything, Kuti. We know he's gone. And it wouldn't shock me if there's a few other first-team squad players who are looking to go. So you've got to be wary of that. But on Inzaghi, let's talk about Inzaghi. Obviously, a very good coach. Everyone knows that. Plays the 3-5-2. That's what I mean. Look, what I would say is watch the game tonight. Get an idea of what you're seeing when it comes to an Inzaghi. Plays a 3-5-2 with the wing backs being the actual wingers, not wingers being the wingers. So that would be really interesting for teams like us, where we think about people like Johnson, for example. Kulusevski would have to play in the midfield 3, wouldn't play in wing back. I know there was that. Do you remember that weird time under Conte? People were like, yeah, Kulusevski played right wing back, and it's like, oh, you are no. Please tell me you're not genuinely considering that. That is very awful. But you'd expect that midfield 3 where you have Barella as the right centre mid, Mkhitaryan as the left centre mid, and Çalhanoğlu is the central midfielder, the sort of CDM, as you might call it. You have a question mark on, the Spurs side of things. Is Maddison, Bentancur, and Kulusevski, for example, good enough as the midfield three? Bergvall included. Is Bergvall good enough for that midfield three? I don't know. Barella is obviously a wonderful centre midfielder. Like, what if you watch tonight? Watch Barella, a wonderful central midfielder. Mkhitaryan's turned it around, obviously, and Calhanoglu, fantastic. But Barella's the guy in that midfield three for me. Dumfries and DiMarco, the wing backs. Martinez and Thuram up front. I mean, that's the other thing. If you brought in an Inzaghi, by the way, is there a situation where actually Richarlison has to be kept because you need strikers? Inter carry 4 strikers. They carry Thuram, they carry Martinez, but they have Arnautovic and Taremi as well. You'd have to carry 4 strikers. Therefore, Spurs are going to have to go into the market and buy probably 2 strikers, right? Unless they view Tell as one, then, you'd buy another one on top and you'd have to keep Richarlison. The centre-back area, obviously, you got Mickey, you got Kuti, you got Danso, Radu. You would then need to add in 2 more if you're not going to be keeping Vuskovic and Phillips. But Romero's probably gone, so you're going to need to add in a centre-back anyway. I don't know. Wing-backs-wise, you have to add in another left wing-back. It's a difficult one for me. Look, I think he's a good manager. It's not going to happen, though. He will stay at Inter and he'll use Saudi's offer to maybe get more money from Inter, or he'll be gone. 25 million a year on a 3-year deal. It's life-changing money, So I don't see it happening. I don't think Ange will go. That promo video that came out last night or the day before, whenever it was, I don't know how you release that and sack Ange. It's an odd thing to do, in terms of from the media side of things, the social media team. So we'll see on that. But that's that on Inzaghi. Watch the game tonight. Get your own view on Inzaghi. What I probably struggle with is I do watch a little. Look, I'm a football junkie. I watch too much football. I do watch Inter Milan quite a bit, and I do like what I see, but don't take my word for it. Watch the game tonight. See him in a big pressure game against a good PSG side. Okay, that's a good PSG side. I don't know who's the favourite to win the final. I would expect probably PSG are slim favourites. Watch them tonight. See how they get on. See how they deal with, Kvara. See how they deal with Dembele, or see what they do. It's not going to be Barcola, it'll be Desiree Doué, but they've still got Barcola, they got Goncalo Ramos. See how they get on with Fabian Vitinha and João Neves. You still got Zaire Emery in there, Kang In. See how they get on with Nuno Mendes, who I probably would say is the best left back in the world at the moment. See how they get on with Hakimi, who's a phenomenal right back. So that's what I'm saying. Watch the game tonight. See how you feel, because you might watch it and you might be going into the game going, "Well, I really like Inzaghi," and then you watch the game and go, "Oh no, I don't like Inzaghi. I don't like his football," or this, that, and the other. See how you feel. Don't listen to me, because I could tell you it's amazing. You watch the game tonight and you hate it, and you go, "What the hell is Andy on about?" And vice versa, obviously. So there you have it. Moving a little bit on, because we've still got some more to talk about. Good Lord, we have some more to talk about. One thing I will bring in, because obviously I definitely reading Twitter shouts like, "Hey, this guy, we're going to pay this guy this amount per week," and it's like, so the guy's going to take 150 grand pay cut to come to Spurs. No, Monica, Simeone's been talking. Diego Simeone, not Simeone Inzaghi. I thought it was a nice transition between the two. He was talking. He says, "There's clear intention to be tied to contenders again. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm staying. I want more at this club." The reason I bring that in, obviously, they are linked to Cristiano Romero. They are linked with Rodrigo Bentancur. Now, I feel like Bentancur will stay at Spurs and sign a new deal. But Romero, yeah, look, if Ange goes, we know Romero's gone, that's for sure. So it'll all be linked to what happens next week. But yeah, like I said, I'll repeat, if Ange goes, your best centre back's gone as well. Yeah, so it is what it is on that side of things. A lot of things could happen next week. I think a lot of things are going to happen next week. And, again, I've always been quite clear on the transfer side of things. You move off your manager, okay? Then if you want Ange gone, you need to shut your mouth when it comes to signing players straight away, because it's not going to happen. It's going to take multiple weeks, okay? New manager's got to come in. He's got to see what he's working with, see what he likes, talk about, transfer plans and things like that. If we see a really early signing, that's not a manager signing. That's a club signing, and there's an issue there. That we need to get out of the business of all them being virtually club signings. We need to get in the business of support the manager with what he wants. So, for example, if it was an Inzaghi, and you're going from a 4-3-3 to a 3-5-2, expect there to be bumps at the start in terms of quality of performances are going to drop. You expect that. You're doing a new system. You've got to learn the new system. Yes, there were some players that played here under Conte. There's also a lot of them that didn't. Yeah, because Fabio Paratici hoarded players. Lang's had to get rid of the Paratici nonsense that he had here. You're just going to need time. So performances might be bad at first. Just be prepared for that. You sack Ange, right? I'd probably say you need about 3 to 4 weeks in terms of buying and removing of players. So be prepared. Let's say July 1st, Spurs start to get a bit more active, okay? So just be prepared for that, because it can take some time. So like I said, if you are wanting to want Ange gone and you want early signings, you can't have both. Sorry. It's not FIFA. It's not Pro Evolution Soccer. It's not Element Manager. It's not Football Manager. It's not Championship Manager. It's none of those things. All right. So just heads up, putting it out there. You can be Ange out, but if you want early transfers, you can't have both. Sorry about one. Going to be talking about Davies in a minute. We'll talk Basuma. DJ, you all right, mate? Homegrown quotas affects recruiting. Well, you need to match the quota the Premier League has in terms of homegrown. You also need to match. You can't. Well, Spurs won't match it this year, but Spurs need to match the European quota as well. So the European quota is slightly different. It's a little bit stricter in regards to club academy trained. So, for example, Mikey Moore is not club academy trained. He's not been there long enough. Lancashire wasn't last season. Scarlett wasn't last season. Ajayi wasn't last season. They've come through the academy, but they've had to have been there for X amount of years. So Whiteman and Austin both counted. Hence why they were both in squad and Kinski wasn't. Walker Peters, I think, would be. Madueke wouldn't be. Marcus Edwards, I think, would count. So Oliver Skip counted. Harry Kane counted. Winks counted. So you have a bit of an idea. All right. So they've got to play around for a certain amount of years for Spurs before they're counted. Hence why before Paratici came in, the academy was pretty naff, if I'm honest. That's going to be nice. It wasn't very good. Paratici obviously built the foundation. Lang has built upon those foundations. But that does, it takes multiple years, because just because Paratici's added some new things in means it doesn't mean it improves straight away. It's going to take years. And, this is why we're linked with Mason Meslier from Ireland. It's going to come into the academy. All those things come into it. So there you go. Morning, James. Is it F1 manager give over? Needs Monster 6 upgrade. Upgrading Richie and a left back. I don't even say he was speaking how much his family are locked up at home because the weather's been so bad in England. Family come first. I think it's clear he wants out. We've had the report that his future is linked to Ange's. We need to keep Ange. We need some continuation at the club. We can't keep chopping and changing. We need to give him manager some time, especially now he's won us a trophy in the squad. Loves him. Gray and Simmons. Oof. So there you go. Moving on, because I've still got so much to talk about. This is mental. It's one of those days where there's so much to talk about within the world of Spurs. There's so many rumours. Let's talk James McAtee, and then I want to talk about Sane. So James McAtee. So this has come from Simon Bakowski, who's a chief Manchester City writer for the Manchester Evening News. He's put out that James McAtee is set to leave Manchester City this summer. He's valued at 25 million. Tottenham are amongst the clubs who are interested. He, very good talent. Very, very good talent. Morning, J-Mac. Very good talent. J-Mac and McAtee. I'm talking about McAtee. What a lineup that is. Very, very good talent. You would feature him more so in the sort of the Maddison role. He has played a little bit of right wing for City, but it's Manchester City's right wing and Spurs as a right wing. They do two very, very different things. There's a different play style between them. Our right wing is all about taking opportunities. Their right wing is also, it's about creating those opportunities. So it's a bit different. You would use McAtee more centrally, via the 10/8 role. Now, the issue that some Spurs fans will have with McAtee, he's another youngster. He's had some Premier League football, by the way. It's not like he's had none. But he's another youngster. We need ready-to-go guys. We need experienced players right this second. McAtee's had one season at City where he was a bit part player. I kind of get that, to be fair. I do kind of get that. And 25 million for a guy who's played one season is a lot. He is a good talent, though. I really do rate him. And it's kind of annoying that we're in that weird period where we do want more experienced players, because I think had we had maybe last season, right, where we bought a couple more experienced players, I think McAtee would be a great signing. Bring him in, get him some minutes here and there, you develop on that. But it feels like this summer, it's not that we have to go out there and get a bunch of 28, 29-year-olds. That's not value in the market nowadays. Spurs can get experienced players who are aged 21, 22. For example, right? Not saying we want him not saying that we're going to get him, but we have been linked to him. Garnacho. He's played 150 odd times with Manchester United. That's experience. He has experience in the Premier League. He has experience in Europe and in cups and things like that. So he would tick the box in terms of an experienced player that can come in and make an impact. McAtee, I think, is a really great talent. Obviously, doesn't have that same level and that same amount of experience. So it's an interesting one. It is an interesting one. Will I sell Kulu for Mbeumo? No. Just give me Mbeumo. I'll let him add him in. Apparently, Mbeumo is valuing a long-term project over European football, by the way. I saw that report. Well, you can have a long-term project and European football with Spurs. And you don't have to move too far. We're a London team. Don't have to move too far. But yeah, I think on McAtee, really, really exciting player. I recommend if you don't know a lot about him, go and have a little look at him. See what you think. See what you fancy about, James McAtee. Do you think he could be a good player for Spurs? I'm interested to see what you guys think about that, So there you go. Moving on, though, to Leroy Sane. Again, Christian Falk, who's head of football at Sport Build. Key thing here, before I give you the rumour and report, is there a situation that all this news, because this is a very loud deal, and I don't think it's loud because Spurs have made it loud whatsoever. You know what I mean? Is there a situation that, and it happens with Spurs more than you think, we're heavily linked with a player, it gets really loud, and actually we're not really in there? Is our name being used? Because obviously we've had so much back and forth with Bayern over the last couple of years. Dyer's gone there, Kane's gone there. Tell's come back to us. Is there a situation where Spurs are being used as a name to drive a better quality deal for Sane at Bayern, or to get a deal done at Bayern? Is there that potential? Because this has come out and it's said that Tottenham are now increasingly confident of signing Leroy Sane this summer, and they're leading the race. Sane's agent, Peniza Harvey, wants his client to join Spurs. Daniel Levy is pulling the strings to take Sane to London. Well, it doesn't matter what his agent wants. It doesn't matter what Sane wants. If Sane wants Spurs, then he wants Spurs. But if he doesn't want Spurs, then it's irrelevant what Zahavi wants. Which makes me think that Levy's gone, well, he's on a free. I'll give the agent a bit more money and he'll pull the strings for me. You know what I mean? It's really irrelevant what the agent wants. If the player doesn't want to go to Tottenham, it's irrelevant what the agent wants. I've been really on this with Sane. The guy is on a lot of money. He turns 30 in the first sort of third of the season, going into the season. What is it? January. It's January, isn't it? It's January that he turns 30 because he's 6 weeks older than me. There you go. There you go. I just think for the value of money, because people go, it's a free, Andy. It's a free. Look at that. We can do business elsewhere. It's like, if you think Sane's a free, you're an absolute bonkers human being, by the way, because his agent fee is going to be high. His signing on fee is going to be high. It wouldn't shock me if the actually signing of Sane straight off the bat is 20 million. It wouldn't shock me at all. It wouldn't shock me if it was actually higher and it's like 30 million, because the idea is, hey, if you've got a situation where you're trying to sign a player and it's like, he's on a free, is he? Well, then you don't have to pay, Bayern Munich a deal. Well, if he's not going to pay him a deal, you don't have to spend money on me. Then give me a little bit more on my signing on fee. My agent will go give me a little bit more on the agent fee. And 10 million each, not a crazy amount for a guy like Sane in his situation. It's 20 million. So it's not a cheap deal. If you think it's a cheap deal, it's not. And then you factor in the fact that, hey, look, his wages are going to be closer to what he wants. Probably 250-ish, I'd say. 250 to 300 a week is probably what he would get. Then he's now your all-time record wage earner, potentially. But he's definitely your highest earner now, and he wouldn't be your best player. And then on a situation of, well, what happens in a couple of years' time where his level performances have really dipped? I mean, people are trying to chase Son out, right? Son had more goal contributions than Sane this season. So it's like, and Son's, let's say, 32. He's like 32, I think he is. Sane is 2 years younger than him. So what happens in 2 years' time when we've given him a 3-year deal? He's on 275 grand a week and we can't get rid of him. You see, there's an issue there. It's like when I talk about Jack Grealish, right? And Jack Grealish, it was like they'd accept a loan deal. And I was like, Jack Grealish on loan for a year, for me, is more appetizing than Sane for 3 years. Because you can get Grealish for a year, who I think is a great opportunity for a Spurs player. I think he suits Spurs. You can send him back after the year. Sane, you've got for 3 years on crazy money. And then there's a chance that, it stops the Tell deal. And I think there's too many drawbacks to this deal, personally. I'm not that sort of impressed with that, to be honest. I'm not. Like I said, I'm not that interested in Sane, if I'm really honest. Again, having watched Bayern as much as I did this season, super jarring player to watch, because he'll do something incredible, right? And he'll beat a couple of guys. You go, go on, look at that. And to be honest, a lot of Spurs fans who get annoyed with Johnson really just twerk for a player that runs past a player. Doesn't matter what he does. Can you just run past that player? Oh, how lovely. Yeah, but he just sliced it out for a goal kick when he's trying to cross a ball. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. He beat his player. Well, if you want that, go and play FIFA Street. Go and watch old school soccer M clips where it's all about tricks and things like that. To be honest, I just care about the guy who's going to, impact the team in bigger and better ways. So if you want a guy who's going to beat a guy, then great. Good on you. Beating a player does nothing in the game of football if you can't put it in the back of the net or whipping quality. And people go, yeah, but look at his goal contributions in the Bundesliga. I'm like, yeah, can you just add in the other 2 competitions that he played in where he had 2 goal contributions in 15 games? Don't get excited by just the Bundesliga. No, the way I love it is people go, well, look at Spurs. Frankfurt are an all right team. It's like, well, they're 3rd in the Bundesliga. Look at the teams towards the bottom of the Bundesliga. They are, and I'm going to be nice, crap. And it's no offense to them. They're just crap. You should do it, right? You should do it. I'm not that impressed. Just not impressed. Joshua, how are you? Logger boy, got to be here at the start, dude. I'm 34 minutes in. So yeah, not for me on Sane. Not that interested. More out of the club with transfer chat. This one is hilarious, right? So Alistair Gold putting out Spurs will look for a deep line midfielder this summer. There's plenty of admiration for Adam Wharton. Now, look, we were doing videos a while back on Adam Wharton, right? Could have had him cheap. And Spurs fans would have got annoyed at the time because it shows a lack of ambition, right? That's what you get. That's what you get, right? There's no way on earth Crystal Palace are going to sell Mark Guehi, Eberechi Eze, and Adam Wharton in one summer, with potentially losing Tyrick Mitchell. There's no way they're moving off of 4 of their better players, right? It's not happening. I like Adam Wharton. He's going to cost 70 million and above due to the fact he's got a long-term deal at Crystal Palace. They're going to sell Mark Guehi. They're more likely to sell Eberechi Eze. They're raising about 100 to 110 million in sales on those two. Why on earth would they sell Adam Wharton? So there are people that go, we should sign Wharton. Show me a way to sign Adam Wharton. We just got to pay the money. Great. So let's put half of our budget on one player when we need 5. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Adam Wharton's going to cost... I think Adam Wharton will cost closer to 100. So it's not going to happen for me. I like Adam Wharton. I think he should bloody be playing for England a lot more. This is what I mean. It's not to say I don't like him. He should play for England a lot more than he does. But, I mean, it's Gareth Southgate. Gareth Southgate couldn't manage his way out of a wet paper bag, let alone play Adam Wharton. So I'll play Jordan Henderson a bit more. It's not going to happen. It's not. Not with Guehi and Mark Guehi and Eze. It's not going to happen with Wharton. He is at Palace next season. If he left Palace, I would be shocked. He'll be at Palace next season. So, remember we were linked to Alex Scott. Yeah. And then Spurs fans, by the way, for ages when he was close to signing for Bournemouth on the channel, people used to get so angry about Alex Scott not joining Spurs. And it was just like, okay, he's a Spurs fan. Doesn't mean you have to sign him. Is there talent? Yes. Sometimes it's just not the right time to sign a player. And it might not have been a right time to sign Adam Wharton. And maybe next year it could be. But I don't see Adam Wharton leaving. Also, Manchester City would do a very smart decision in getting Adam Wharton maybe next year. Because I think he would rocket Man City. I think he'd be great at Man City. Will you buy Larson? Henrik Larsson. Championship manager 102, about 11.25. It's 11.75 mil. Henrik Larsson from Celtic, absolutely. Eze's not leaving. I think Eze will. And then, yeah, Astegol goes on to say that Spurs will look to bring in another winger and striker in the summer transfer window to bolster their options in the final third. I think they need to. I do. I think... will they view Tell as a striker option? Or will they view Tell as a winger option, right? They need to add something at right wing, unless they're going to move Kulusevski back out to the right wing. Because, you know, as much as you have Johnson, it's always good to have something else out there. And with Kulu being out, you know, you've got Odebear, but I just think Odebear is better on the left for me. I think he can play on the right. I just think he's better on the left. So therefore, go and get a right winger. Right. And I think you still need to get someone around the right winger who in front of goal is effective. Because like I've always said, our left side, due to Maddison and Son, creates a lot for the right-hand side. Creates a lot. You know, Johnson's obviously on the receiving end for a lot of it. The creative side down the right is not the right winger. It's the fullback. It's Porro, right? So that's why, you know, adding in a left winger who's creative, that's what you need. But you also need someone on the right wing who is effective in front of goal because they're going to get opportunities created for them. I mean, think about the amount of opportunities that we create with Johnson. I mean, and a lot of it is, I mean, people that hate Johnson obviously just have more of an agenda because actually if you watch Johnson, his movement in the box, it is elite. Absolutely elite movement. A lot of them are going onto his left foot. So when I talked about Brian Mbeumo, for example, if obviously, again, his ability to be taught when to go in the box, when to move in the box, you can learn that. Johnson showed it in his first season. You know, Mbeumo's obviously a little bit older, a little bit more experienced at the time. I think it'd be such a smart move if we could get Brian Mbeumo, but I don't think we will. I don't know what they'll do at the right wing position, to be honest. But I hope that's what if they're looking to add in a winger, I hope it's that. Now, striker, you expect Richie to go, and I think Tell can play striker. I think he can. He will, with preseason, get better. He will. Like I said, people that go, he was crap when he first joined. I don't really listen to their opinion because it's more of a hateful, agenda-based opinion. And a lot of those people always go, this is a fact. And you go, oh, can you give me the context with that? And they go, no, this is the fact. It's like, yeah, what about the context? No, fact. Fact. If you always add in a context of a situation, like I did with Big Kev Danso at the start, if you add in the fact that he joined at the end of a January transfer window, he's playing in a team that has 12 injuries. He comes in at a time where he's having to go play away at Liverpool in a cup semi-final. He's got a lot of difficult games around that time. He's also then shown flashes. That's why I'm really excited by Kev Danso. I think there's a player there that can really help us. I saw flashes from Tell, and people that go, he's shown nothing. They didn't watch Spurs games, evidently, because he did. I can point to one game alone, right? Bodo Glimt's second leg. Did he or did he not impact that game in a big way? Yes, he did. If you think it's no, I'm just disregarding your comment now because you obviously don't know how football works, evidently. Took the corner. Romero wins it. Slanky taps it in. Pretty sure that's an important role in that goal. Second goal. Passes to Sarr. Sarr passes to Porro. Porro scores. Pretty sure that's an effective role. I love his attitude. I love how much he actually likes Spurs and cares about Spurs as well. Something that we cry out for more from our players. Why don't our players show more love for Tottenham? Well, he does. But I don't want that one showing more love for Tottenham. It's like, you can't have it all your own way, Chief. Welcome to the real world. You got to give and take, you know what I mean? Question, Solanke later rather meant no preseason training to get familiar with the squad. This season, he'll be great. Yeah, I think Solanke will get better this season. This is the thing, though, when people do talk about we need to get early business done. And that's one of the big things. If you get early business done, players like Solanke, players like, who else came in? Bergvall, they're going to be so much better this season. So much better. Big Kev Danso, so much better this season. Tell will be so much better this season. So, there you go. Alex didn't pay any attention to what I was saying. Good to see. Good to see, Chief. Thanks for coming along. Anyway, moving on, because I want to talk about more so the striker situation. Because, like I said, they're adding in a striker. Is it Tell or is it someone else? Potentially so. The key thing with striker that people sort of... I remember we were looking at Benacer. He's leaving Marseille to go back to Milan off of his loan deal. That's not worked. The striker situation is obviously interesting because I think Richie will move on. I think Everton. I think Everton supposedly have the interest in him. I don't see why not. Obviously he loves Everton. Everton will have some money to spend because I actually think when you look at the new stadium, they obviously improved league position. I can't remember where they finished. I think they finished like 13th or 14th this season. Correct me, I might be wrong on that. I think they might have a bit of money to spend this season. I think they've made some smarter moves recently. I mean, look, they may sell Branthwaite. I don't know what's happening there. That's gone a little bit quiet. I always thought Manchester United were going to get him, and then Everton wanted 70 million. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But obviously, we've been linked with Branthwaite. I know that. I think they're going to be in for. They're going to move. I think they're moving for Coleman. Young, I think, is leaving as well. Decore, I thought Decore might be getting bought from someone. Calvert-Lewin, I think, is leaving. So yeah, there we go. Calvert-Lewin. If Calvert-Lewin's on his way, then Richie could come take that spot. I think they're going to have a bit of money to spend this summer, Everton, and I think bringing back Richie will. I think with a new stadium, you bring back, one of Everton's better players in the last decade, because he was good at Everton. He was. It could make some sense. So, yeah, I'm not sure on that one. But I think there'll be some money there. Who would I rather play in the Super Cup final? To be honest, man, I'm just glad to be there. You are some Spurs fans who kind of, disregard the fact we've won a European trophy for 4 decades. I'm just glad to be in the Super Cup final. I'm enjoying every moment of it. I'm more of a positive person, to be honest. Why don't we go for Gyökeres? That's a weird one. Why on earth is Gyökeres not happening? You know, looks like Arsenal are going to go for Sesko. Chelsea just bought Delap. Liverpool are looking at potentially Goncalo Ramos. Why is no one like biting on Gyökeres? You know, I don't think it's crazy money. I think Sesko is going to cost more than Gyökeres. Knows English football. He's had a successful season at Coventry. He was at Brighton, but obviously didn't have as much, you know, success there. Ooh, yeah, I think that's a weird one for me. Weird one. If relegation was over on the cards, Ange would have prioritised the Premier League games. Yeah. People that kind of, you know, get angry about the Premier League side of things. It's just again, if you always add in context to a situation, every situation has context. It's important to always give the full story. People don't when it comes to their agendas, and I get that. You want to get your point across. You want to show that you're right. You know, if you're one of those people that disregards the context, then how can you ever be truly right? You know, it's like me saying, so I give a good excuse. Big Kev Danso. Let's use Big Kev Danso. Kev was bought late January, early February, right? And some people thought he was struggling at first. It's like, would you play well? Would you work well at your own workforce with half of your workforce not in the office or not working for 4 months? You'd go, God, how are we supposed to do our job? How are we supposed to have that success? You go, well, no, you can't have that success. You've got four projects, right? The big one is the one that goes on year round. And you've got these 3 that go on, not year round as such, but yeah, you've got these 3, right? You as a fan base haven't completed one of those projects in 17 years, okay? That one there that you normally do some work and business with a European company, right? Yeah, you've never completed a project in 41 years. You go, Jesus, that's bad. And then you have a part in building up. I've always talked about those games that, we lost that game. Yeah, probably going to be when you have 9 players missing, you know, rotated out. Because you've put all your eggs in the European basket. And if it didn't work, then yeah, it was looking like it was going to be one of the worst seasons ever. But also, how old are you? Are you 41 years or younger? Oh, you are. So you've never tasted European success. I'm still riding a high. We've been European champions for a week and a half. I'm still riding that high. I'll say it again. European champion. If you're 41 years and younger, you've never experienced that. If you're 17 years and younger, you've never experienced a trophy win. You've completed that project. And you go, that's not bad. That's not bad. You've done that. So there you go. Morning, Big D, mate. How are you? We can all get Sweden dude in Spurs. 60 million big price. Who's the Sweden dude? Osimhen, I believe, is going to be going to Saudi. I think Al Hilal might be this side. You know, obviously, Simeone might be going there. Inzaghi, not Diego. I think Osimhen might be going there with him. Gyökeres is rubbish. I don't know if he's rubbish, mate. Yeah, he's not rubbish. Problem is the players in demand might not want to risk the club joining. Okay. It's like speaking to a wall. You know what I mean? Disregard the fact that Spurs finished 5th the season before when they didn't have European football. And you know, if we didn't have European football this season, you're not finishing 17th. You could be the biggest Ange hater. You wouldn't finish 17th. You wouldn't. I can provide the evidence. See season before. You know, Poch had success here because he adapted. Poch had success by not winning anything. Success isn't deemed just by developing a squad. I've said it all along. In 40 years' time, I'll be basically 70, right? And someone goes to me, God, you won a European trophy in the year 2025. And I'll go, yeah, that was Ange Postecoglou. He was called Big Ange. yeah, won a European trophy. It's the first trophy we won in 17 years, you know, and they go, oh, you won a trophy in, who was the Carling Cup manager? I'll go, that was Juan de Ramos. Yeah, I mean, he's not thought as highly of in the Spurs, you know, hierarchy of managers. But yeah, we won the trophy. And they go, what about in between? I go, well, yeah, we had managers like Harry Redknapp, AVB, you know, Tim Sherwood, Pochettino, Jose Mourinho. He's a treble-winning manager, by the way. Antonio Conte, he's won a double in England. And they go, oh, you didn't win anything. You go, no. You move straight on from that era. And that might hurt some feelings, but you will forget about those other managers in 30, 40 years' time. You will. Because when you look at the history books and you look at the records, you won something in that year. That was Ange. You won something that year. That's Juan de Ramos. Everything in between will be forgotten about. You know, there are. I might go, oh yeah, we had Poch and we had Mourinho's a European. Yeah, he's won all European trophies. He's a treble-winning manager. And Conte, we had Conte. He was a miserable git, but you'll always remember Ange. You will, regardless if he gets sacked. And you won't remember, by the way, oh, yeah, we finished 17th. You won't. Because they'll go, what happened in 2025? You go, we were European champions. And if you're one of those people that goes, oh, we finished 17th and we're European champions, you have an issue, personally. Because if you're focused on that one thing in 40 years' time of 17th and not the fact you're European champions first time in 41 years, it says more about you than it does anyone else, unfortunately. Absolutely, DJ. Would I take? Yes, I would take Grealish on a season-long loan. I would. The way I look at it is it's a season-long loan, right? If it doesn't work out, you just hand them back. You know? I don't know if Ange will get sacked. I don't know, mate. We'll know a little bit probably more next week. Wow, what have I missed? I missed anything else? Some Spurs fans will never be happy. No, of course not. Of course not. They never are. There's always there's a fine line between never being content in life and always wanting more, and then there's just being miserable and being sad and thinking you're in this elite fan because, hey, I'm unhappy about something. If you're not unhappy, you're a bad fan. It's like, okay, all right, Chief. I think some Spurs fans need to get their head out of their own backsides when it comes to, hey, we finished 5th and we should focus on finishing 5th and getting there and woo, top 4. Cool. All right. Where's the happiness in that? Where's the success in that? Football is about winning trophies. I don't know if you knew that. I don't know if that's shocking. I'm pretty sure we won a trophy, and I'm pretty sure that gave me the best evening of my life in 29 years as a Spurs fan. The best night in my life. Beating Ajax away 3-2 was great. Lost the final, though, didn't we? I still remember the Carling Cup victory 17 years ago. I've told you all the story about how my night was that night and how I loved that day. It didn't come even close to this European trophy win. That's for me, you know. You might think something differently and you might like finishing 4th. You might like finishing 3rd over winning trophies. Then that's on you. For me, as a football fan, all I care about is trophies. You know, I used to get bantered at school, absolutely bantered at school because, Spurs haven't won a trophy in 10 years, haven't won a trophy in 11 years and 12 and 13 and 14. I used to get bantered no, not 14 because I wasn't at school at that point, but you get what I mean. I got bantered for years about not winning things as a Spurs fan. And I think we've been programmed into, hey, top 4 is a trophy. Top 4 is a trophy. Top 4 for me is only success business-wise. I don't look at that as a success. I look at winning trophies as success. Like, for example, right? Let me bring up the Premier League table because I want to bring this in. Premier League table. Right. Cool. Here we go. Manchester City this season finished 3rd, right? They were 3 points behind Arsenal and 13 points behind Liverpool. But to be honest, by the last sort of few weeks of the season, Liverpool just didn't care. So I'm going to ignore Liverpool, right? Arsenal and Manchester City basically had the same level of season, right? Because they both won nothing. They both finished in the top 3. They get Champions League football, 3 points apart. Arsenal went deeper into the Champions League. Man City made an FA Cup final. I think they're pretty much even. The 2 teams below them, Chelsea gets European football. They finished 2 points behind City, and they finished 5 points behind Arsenal. They won a European trophy. They had a better season, right? Newcastle finished 5th, 5 points behind Manchester City, and 8 points behind Arsenal. They won the Carling Cup, the League Cup, the Carabao Cup, the EFL Cup, whatever you want to call it. They had a better season. Crystal Palace finished 12th. Okay, finished 12th. They finished 12 points behind Nottingham Forest, who got Conference League football, right? Villa finished 6th. I would take Palace's season over Villa's. Won an FA Cup. It's a legendary cup. I'd love to win an FA Cup as a Spurs fan. It's the best domestic cup competition in world football. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. I would take Palace's season over Villa's every day of the week. So it's how you view it. If you view finishing the league position 4th, 5th, or whatever it is to get top 4, and you think that's success, by all means, you are allowed to think that. I, though, on the other hand, would just rather win trophies and still get the same level of success because of it. Anyway, Spurs won 3 trophies in half time. 2, I've been old enough to remember I'm 34, a few months before we won the World FA Cup. I couldn't be proud to be a Spurs fan. And that's thanks to Ange, greatest day. Yeah. I get, people that give Ange, what was it people were saying? The players won the Europa League in spite of Ange is one of the dumbest takes I've ever heard. It's one of the dumbest. And if that is your take, then heed my words. We haven't won a league since 61. We're not a league club. When have we been a league club? We've always been we've been labelled a cup side. I will always be happy to lift trophies, especially European trophy. But not the one thing I'm not happy with the club is the limbo, standing still while other clubs prepare for next season. That's fair enough. Yeah. Hey, Polly, how are you? Andy, PSG or Inter Milan? Do you know what? Actually, I'd love to get I know it's not about us. Just want to get your view. I'm going to go PSG personally, but just whilst I'm talking, have a little vote on that. I want to see what everyone else thinks. I think PSG are going to win. I think it's going to be 2-1. It's going to be 2-1 tonight. No, I think the FA Cup's better than Copa del Rey. Copa del Rey is just basically Barcelona versus Real Madrid normally, FA Cup is special. The non-league sides, all that sort of thing. Like Tamworth against us, right, it's magical. That's what the FA Cup's all about, FA Cup, Copa del Rey, DFB Pokal probably. Oh, I quite like the DFB Pokal, so maybe that's number 2 for me. Give me FA Cup, and then the other 2 can fight it out. You know what I mean? Probably not on Liverpool's side of things. I like Harvey Elliott, but probably not. Probably not. Would love to us win the FA Cup. I was there in 91. I can't believe I haven't seen us win it again. That's mental, isn't it? 1991. I wasn't born. I was 5 years away from being born. I've never seen us win the FA Cup in 29 years. I've once seen a Carling Cup, because that's what it was at the time. It's a League Cup if you're a bit more old school. And I've seen us win a Europa League. But we finished 4th. Woo! Okay, Chief. All right, Chief. No, I think the Europa League's better to win than the FA Cup, especially for what it gives you. It's a European trophy. You can't knock a European trophy, Yeah, the Bundesliga 3 team made it to the final, played Stuttgart. They knocked out Leverkusen. And did they knock out Bayern as well? Was that the season before they knocked out Bayern? They're top of the Bundesliga 3. They should be coming out to Bundesliga 2. They play some really nice football, by the way. I hate the fact they got rid of replays just for stupid preseason games. Yeah, I hate it. Hate everything about it. Like, Tamworth shouldn't have gone to extra time. It should have gone to a replay at Tottenham. They deserved that day out. But instead, we do these stupid preseason games. Manchester United jetting off after their last game of the season to go play those all-star teams and lose, by the way. And lose. Like, I hate it. Hate everything about it. Simeone's going to Saudi by the looks of things. Morning, Ed. Wenger managed to convince Arsenal fans top four was success and an achievement. Yeah, hate it. We under Poch were told by Arsenal fans, well, we've won the FA Cup and finished 8th or whatever. You've got top four. We had the better season. Now it's the other way around. No. We finished second. That's success. That's success. I hate that. Can't have it both ways. I think being second is a success, yeah, because you're fighting for the title. But again, look back on that season 20 years later. No one's going to remember where you finished in the league. It might be a trivial question. Who won their league title in 2025 with the first season at the club? They'll go, Slot. That was Slot. That was Liverpool. If you go, who finished second? People will go, well, Man City, I guess, maybe. They're always in that sort of area, you know. You're not going to remember it. Now they go, who won their first European title in 41? What English side won their first title in 41 years, European title, in 2025? They'll go, that was Spurs. They'll always remember that. Morning, Simon. How are you, my friend? These preseason money grab games, I hate them. I hate the preseason money grab games. I hate it. I hate that we've been involved in that. I hate everything about it. You know, awful. Apparently, Manchester United are hoping to use the expertise and connections of someone to beat Arsenal for Benjamin Sesko. Just go, lads, just go for Gyökeres. He's there. He's about, you know. But yeah, lots of stuff in there. I'm still hoping that they bring the UEFA CONMEBOL Cup final back. They didn't do it last year, which would have been Atalanta in it against, I think it was an Ecuadorian side. We had played Racing Club. That's who we played this year. I hope let me get rid of that poll. What do we think? PSG, 62%. Yeah, I think PSG as well. I think, yeah, I would love that to come back. I think it's a great opportunity for a pre-season sort of game that, you know, yeah, you win a European Super Cup. No, you win a World Super Cup, actually. It's not even European, it's a World Super Cup. That'd be another cup. We're taking that. Absolutely saying that. Yeah, that's the trophy win. Not a problem with that. Then you got the Super Cup against, well, like I said, it's the semi-final of the Super Cup tonight. We find who we're going to play in the final. But yeah, I think with wouldn't it be so typical Spurs? Don't win anything for 17 years and you win 2 trophies in the space of like 3 months. It'd be so typical. It's like the old saying, you know, you don't see a bus come for an hour and then you see 2 come at once. Same thing, isn't it? You know. No, Thomas, we're not wanting PSG to win. We're just thinking who's going to win. Would I have wanted to replace Ange if he hadn't won it? Then yeah, you'd probably say so. You'd probably say so, yeah. But he's won a European trophy. Can't take away from him, you know. AC Milan play Leeds in Dublin in August. Nice. Both teams will be ramping up for the season as well, so it should be a decent game of football. Yeah, let them choose it. Let him choose it. What have I got? The what cup? It's the UEFA CONMEBOL Cup. So what it is the winner of the Europa League plays the winner of the Copa Sudamericana. I did it in 2023, I think. It was Sevilla. I think it was 2023. It normally is in like the summertime, so like July, I think. July. Don't hold me to that. And there was, you know, Diego Milito is the running of Racing Club, and they was talking about, you know, we should have the game here because the last one was at Sevilla. I think neutral fields. You know, if you know, a lot of these, this is a great opportunity for Racing Club to get more eyes on them. You know, they talked about having it in America. I think it's quite far with obviously us traveling to Korea, but you know, you could have it in Europe. Something like that. I think having it maybe not in the country of the winner, having it somewhere else, I think it'd be great. Having it in America, they talked about, you know, it gets more eyes on those sort of clubs, more revenue for the CONMEBOL side. But yeah, I would like them to bring it back. It's an opportunity to win another trophy. It's not a European trophy. It's a world trophy. because you're playing a different continent, So I don't know if they will, though. There's been no real true wording on it, so we'll sort of see. But I hope that makes sense. UEFA Europa League versus the Comedy Bowl. That Copa Sudamericana, sorry. There you go. Martins, they're looking at attacker and winger. Any Premier League young player you'll bring on loan, like Tell. We'll link to McAtee from City. I like him. There's no real other youngsters in the Premier League as such, but I do like McAtee. That's a really good player. Really, really good player. Have I missed any charts news, please? Incoming. The incoming is Kev Danso, officially signed. Whether Ange's staying or going, the club needs to come decision. Again, if Levy was like, well, he's not going, there's no statement needed because he's not going, then we just need to get on with it. Now, if there is a change coming, then yeah, we would like to know. But if they're going to keep Ange, they don't have to say. Then it's just business as usual. It's in our heads because we've been fed so much information that they may move off Ange. But if Levy's like, well, I wasn't going to move off Ange, he doesn't need to say anything. He just doesn't need to say anything, does he? I'm playing racing. It's on the table, but no, it's not guaranteed. But we'll sort of see. Is the Intercontinental Cup sort of thing? That could be what the UEFA Comedy Bowl Cup is now, to be fair. I don't know if that's still a thing, but it could be that. You're not convinced by McAtee? I like McAtee. I do like McAtee. J Med, I've just seen yours. Oscar Bob. I like Oscar Bob, but I don't know if they'll get rid of either. McAtee feels like the more likely one. I don't know if Bob's going to get the minutes that he's going to want, though, because, you've still got Bernardo, you've still got Marmoush, Savio, Doku, I know Greece is there, but Foden, obviously I know they're moving off of KDB, so maybe, Foden might go centrally or Bernardo goes centrally, but, he's like sort of 6th, 7th winger on the list, Why are we not looking at Leao or Nico Williams? I think Leao is massively overrated and very lazy. I like Nico Williams, but again, it'll come down to what he wants as well. As much as we sit and go, we should look at these players, they might not want us, and that's fine and that's normal. On Nico Williams, it'll come down to wages. He's on crazy money, and would we do it? Probably not. I do wonder if City would look ever to move on Bob. I do. Is Sane happening? Potentially. McAtee, Dibbling as the 2 young additions, 3 or 4 experienced players minimum. Yeah, but the issue is you're paying nearly up to 50 million for Dibbling, 25 for McAtee. You're spending 75 million on inexperienced players in theory. Then you want 3 to 4. It's where are you going to get the value for what you need for those sort of players? I can't see it. But I do like Grealish on loan for the season. I do, But it has to be a loan. I don't want him permanently because he's just a little bit too old and the wages aside of things. But a loan deal, why not? But one thing I'm not happy about is I'm not a fan of ever being unprepared in something. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that either. Would you like Lookman? No news about him now. Well, that's going to be a question mark with Gasperini going to Roma, isn't it? Because I think that's pretty much done, is it not? 3-year deal for Gasperini as the new Roma manager. The new manager coming in, I don't know who it's going to be. I think there was talk was Fabregas linked? Or was it Fabregas linked to Roma maybe from Como? It depends. The new manager might come in and say, but one of the things I'm joining is that you need to keep Lookman, and we'll sort of see. Leaving the chat, I don't like how much of an echo chamber it is, completely shutting out others' opinions. It's no place for conversation. Okay. If that's what you think, Chief, that's what you think. I don't know. I'm just looking at it. There's people that are saying that not keen on certain players. I'm not keen on certain players. I'm not keen on Sane. People are keen on Sane. If what you read into it is then there's no communication, then that's what you read into it, mate. I wish you all the best in life. Look after yourself. Stay safe. Stay happy. Key thing in life. But we do have difference of conversations. We do have differing opinions on things. I've always said, I hope no one ever agrees with me fully. Agree with me every now and then because maybe I'm not an idiot. But if you agree with me 24/7, it says more about you, and you shouldn't. You should have your own opinion on things. But Again, that could be the coin. I don't know who you are, obviously, but that could be, my friend, that you have a difference of opinion. Someone has a different opinion. You might have a discussion back and forth and a bit of a bicker. And if they don't agree with you, then that's the same thing as you're saying there, would it not? So always remember that. All right. But I wish you best in life if you think that. We barely get any. I've done that one already. Rather spend £75 million on Luis Diaz. No, Diaz is off to Saudi, isn't he? He's off to Saudi. I think it's Al Nassr interested in Luis Diaz. It's what they need is more attacking players. They could do with more defensive players. I think Laporte's leaving. Could do more defensive players. That's Al Nassr. No, I wouldn't want Erdin Terzic personally. I like Inzaghi more than Glasner and Xavi. But I don't want... Terzic is the only one out of those four that I'm like, nah, not interested. Not interested. How many defeated Celtic in the Scottish Cup final? Yeah, I know, man. Massive. Massive. Would you prefer Cherki or Xavi? Well, look, Cherki obviously much cheaper, right? You know, obviously on the paper of things. I'd probably say Cherki just due to cost. If they're the same level of price, I'd maybe say Xavi Simons because I do really like him. But I'd probably say Cherki if you factor in the cost. Yeah. The mighty Hamburg FC. Back to the Bundesliga. Yeah, good to see him back. Good to see him back. 50 million for concert. No. No. I don't know much about news that we're going for Walker Peters. He's free and he's academy trained. That's probably the things that stand out and make sense. But I haven't seen anything. Yeah, by the way, I've got a mental stat that I finish off with. It's not to do with Spurs, but a mental stat. Barcola, he's not going to Spurs. 42 million for Bradley Barcola. Are you mental? No. Barcola's not being sold for 40 million. Barcola is a fantastic footballer. I really like Bradley Barcola, but he's going to be way more than 40. I mean, he's going to be 60 plus. 60 plus minimum. Have I ever attended a Schalke game? No. Terzic is a very good tactical coach. Terzic also has a way of winding up and annoying higher-ups and players. We need homegrown players. We'll add in homegrown, absolutely. Go and get a Barrett shares, eh? Realistically, how about any championship players on your wish list? The issue is obviously with championship players is, are you going to give them the time they need? You know, Esteve, the centre back from Burnley. I know technically he's a Premier League player. If you know what I mean, it's that weird period between he was a championship player. He hasn't become a Premier League player because he hasn't played a game yet. I do like him. We were linked with him in January, I think it was, or was it the summer? One of the two. I do like him. Sunderland. There's no one really at Sunderland. We were linked with Patton at Sunderland, but obviously signing Kinski stopped that. There's no one else at Sunderland that I'm really that keen on. Leeds, will be selling Solomon probably to Leeds. I like that Bogle at right back, but won't be getting him. I think Firpo's decent left back, won't be doing that. That Joe Roden fella's all right, isn't he? I like Tanaka, the central midfielder. But no, I don't think so. I don't think so. Getting withdrawals since I spend more time at the gym. Attaboy. Attaboy. A few more. Who's in charge transfer this window? You would hope Johan Lang is the guy in charge, Jesse. But others might have a say. Scott Munn, is he going to be here next season? I don't know. Vinay comes in soon. Chris Reggers got talent. Emilio, talented but not consistent. I'm interested in which, if any, the kids out on loan. Well, that's the loan guys. I expect a lot of them to get a better quality of loan, like Abbott, Donnelly, Keeley. I don't know if any of them are going to make the first team squad. Vuskovic potentially, or Phillips, one of those two maybe, but the other one or both of them still could go on loan. But I think a lot of them will go back on loan this season. get a better quality of loan, step up another level sort of thing. But there you go. Last thing about, by the way, the revenue. The revenue on, what is it? Where is it? Chelsea earned only 100,000 euros more than Slovan Bratislava. For winning the Conference League, they got 22 million, and Bratislava, who lost 8 games in the Champions League, made 21.9 million. Stupid, isn't it? Absolutely stupid. But there you go. Money talks in football. Money talks. Tyree Salt, loan deal. Won't be playing in the first team. We got on loan, in my opinion. Cherki's going to City. That's my guess. But there you go. Look, thank you so much for joining me this morning into the afternoons. Go and enjoy the rest of your Saturday mornings, afternoon, evenings, wherever you are in the world. Back tomorrow, hopefully talk a lot more about Spurs. And hopefully some more positive news. Go enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thank you so much for the likes and the comments. And I'll see you all then. Peace.